going back to the whole idea of love, loyalty, obligation, kind of removing the loyalty and obligation aspect, but keeping that aspect of love. I'm wondering if for you, I'm wondering if and how it may be different for you, because your relationships have looked different. But I saw this reel earlier where it was a woman explaining the different love languages of men and women and um why men value respect over love. Like why the respect factor is such a big thing for us, for men specifically. And I'm curious if you've felt that, because your relationships have been different, is the dynamic the same from the standpoint of respect being in high regard for you, or personally has that just not been your your kind of like litmus test, if you will? Has there been something else that's been the thing that kind of carries it for you? Relationships more so specifically, I would say, romantic ones.
Counter question: Were the people that you were listening to this conversation were they black?
Yes,
Okay, that's another layer. Um,
very real.
I respect is respect. That's my baseline. So I don't care who I'm with, who I'm dealing with, who I'm talking to, whatever. If I don't respect you, you also are not in my orbit, right? And if you don't have respect for me, why am I around you, right? So I feel like if you love somebody, you've gotten past the respect. So that's fine. But you asked like why do men feel like they have to have respect first?
Yeah,
Uh
I feel like I know why men value it, but I wonder if that is, and I kind of wish I worded the question better, but I understand why men value respect because men have been raised to. We've been told by society that our worth is essentially tied to being respected more so than being loved, if you will. But I could see that being a detriment, but I also don't want to take away from how men are naturally wired, because I don't think that idea of holding respect in that high regard, in comparison to love, has to be a negative thing. I think it's about how it presents and how that man kind of handles it, carries it, expresses it, if you will. So
yeah.
maybe more so framed in that way. Does that make it a little bit maybe easier to respond to?
Well, I mean, yeah, because if you're talking in like a hetero context, men have been traditionally socialized to, be respected. And then, once they have garnered the respect of other people, now they have to protect women. But that's not reciprocated for us to say like, oh, you have to be respected as a man, therefore you should also respect your woman. Like you have to protect your woman as if like I'll assume good intent and say that respect is implied, but because it's not explicitly stated, like that's weird. So, when you flip the coin for me and now I'm dating a guy, like, oh, well, who respects and then who protects? Like,
Right.
you, we're not rolling the dice every time we go outside to be like, you protect and I respect. Like, the hell?
What about y'all playing rock, paper, scissors to see what roles y'all playing?
Like that's not how this goes. I respect you as a hopefully full realized human. You respect me in that regard. There's an ebb and a flow, but I think like I mean, growing up playing video games, here's another analogy. Especially if you're fighting, you got the little life bars, right? So as one goes down, another one kind of stays the same or goes up. Like it's this. So it's like, oh, here's my respect meter. It's going down because I'm protecting you. Like, no, I don't. I don't know why that is. Like, if people feel like, and maybe this goes back to our conversation that we've just had this whole time, but because you have to be in this box of something, like it has to be loyalty and then you have like blind loyalty, right? You have to have this respect, but in order for me to have respect, that means you have to be down here. Therefore, I don't really respect you. You don't see me as an equal. In any relationship, I have dated men, I have dated women. I want us to feel as equal as possible, like evenly yoked, 100% the same, however you want to look at it, but like we gotta be on the same page because if I'm looking down at you,
Yeah.
then I don't respect you. Therefore, I feel like I have to protect you because you can't do it yourself. Like it's automatically a deficit in a relationship.
And I'm glad you answered in that way, because that's why I asked, because while I really feel like the only difference is how it looks aesthetically, right? Like you said, like at the end of the day, like it's two humans who hopefully are fully realized or well in their journey of being realized, you know. And so it's this idea that like regardless of who's who and what's what and whatever the roles are, uh, respect should not inevitably mean hierarchy, or it should not
Right.
translate to, you know, like levels per se. Because in whatever the dynamic of the relationship is, there will be moments where one person is meant or has the capacity to lead, and then there will be moments where they clearly do not have that wherewithal, so the other person will need to step up. Ideally, you know, y'all can kind of, you know, be fluid in that balance. Obviously, you know, that's not always the case, but the idea is to be working toward that, you know. But I think a lot of men struggle with that, like just in general. And I don't know if that struggle is the same, you know, for those that like are also dating men. So I'm not sure, but I just thought that was, you know, just an interesting thing to think about, because I think society trying to condition men does not pick and choose by identification per
Mm.
se. Like it becomes a thing as somebody maybe gets older and as things become a little bit more explicit, if you will, in terms of maybe their expression or what have you. But yeah, just was kind of curious, if really wanted your perspective to kind of understand and make the point that there is no true difference. Like it still all comes down to everybody's being humans at the end of the day and having to navigate that aspect of it.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it's all of those things. But the reason I asked were they black is because we have to look at the cultural context of it all. Like
True.
black men, I mean, at some point, even black people in general, like it was illegal for us to read. Right. So the first kind of group that really got access, generally speaking, in America was men, because women, not even race, just women, couldn't vote till 1920.
Yeah.
A woman couldn't go get a bank account in her own name. I don't know, maybe the 70s, something around the 50s where, well, credit cards and all those things, like you had to be on your husband's account. And again, your husband, right? So God forbid these lesbians out here back in the day, they couldn't get nowhere. They had access to nothing.
Yeah.
Not trying to make light of it, but like you had to have a man to survive. So that's why women had to be protected or felt like they had to be protected. And then Rosie the Riveter showed up and it was like, oh shit, I can do it myself. Like those things just don't make sense, but it's because we are still we still have some anchors of past experiences on the way that we are just raised in the world. But I like that. I don't want that food pyramid of respect to be like, I'm number one and you're at the like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't make sense. Food pyramid is a really good way to visualize it though. That makes a lot of sense.